Hello everybody, I did promise that I would do a little bit of this, so let's get to it. So this is just a little thing or a few things I found out about super jumps, or I think momentum jumps or momentum skips are probably more accurate because it's to do with momentum and not the actual jump. It just causes a jump through the transformation, or potentially you could call it a momentum transformation, I'm not really sure. So obviously everybody knows by now how to do these. You don't actually need to press the A button at the same time as doing it, as is proven in the first Optimus clip here. You can just hit the ground and hit the transform button, so it's actually tied to transforming. Here's the thing that I discovered earlier, which is I'm going to call for now super jump storage, where you can actually store a super jump for your next transformation. So by doing the super jump and going into an area where you can't transform, it actually stores the super jump. So when you next transform, it releases it. So all you have to do is find a wall or a cutscene or any sort of area, and then you can do a super jump, and you can use this to get out of bounds and do all sorts of crazy cool stuff. And if you store up enough of these momentum super jump storage things, then the game physics actually messes up, because it will just fling you in random directions and through walls. So here you go, you see me doing it multiple times next to this cannon, and what I'm doing is I'm storing those momentum jumps every single time, and I keep doing it and I keep doing it and I keep doing it. I haven't quite worked out how and when it happens. I skip ahead, I do about 3 or 4 more. You can keep seeing that I am doing the storage momentum jumping, and eventually, well, you'll see what happens. Eventually the physics can't take that amount of momentum stored in Optimus anymore, and we get completely flung randomly in whichever direction we are driving to. In that case, it was right. There are some really cool things that you can do as well. So it can work between cutscenes. So let's have a look at Megatron. Megatron actually requires you pretty much to be using the super boost the entire time. You can't just be moving forward. It's really difficult. It basically requires his boosters to be out, which is why it makes me think that this mechanic is tied to momentum, as opposed to the actual sort of jump that's involved. There's also something else. I wanted to show you this as well. This was really weird. So I managed to do a storage jump, but without actually storing it. I'm not sure what happened. If somebody wants to analyze that, they can do. But yeah, I just randomly hit the floor and transformed. I must have pressed some buttons. I wasn't sure what I pressed. But here's a really cool example. Okay, so you can't transform in the room that Megatron is currently trying to get into. So there we go. I do that. I walk away, storing that jump for later on. I get down to the floor. Boom. I can activate it whenever I want to by transforming. You can actually go through combat and stuff with this as well, and I'll show you that in a second. So if you go forward, boom, I've just there stored the super jump or the momentum jump, and I'm then going to go through here and just kill some enemies, because like, why not? Let's shoot some enemies. The momentum is still stored within me. I'm not sure if it goes away if I press the A button or jump button. I forgot to test that out. But I'm sure somebody else can test that out. And there we go, I decided to activate it there. So you can actually go through combat with a momentum jump installed. This is a little discovery of my own. I'm going to call this one a physics jump. Basically, if you're squashed between a moving character and a slope or any kind of angle, in this case the Combaticons, it will launch you forward. This is possible elsewhere, but I've had it happen by accident. And of course you can use these to do all sorts of things. In this case I used it so that I didn't have to get rid of my RB ability to get up here nice and quickly. Of course you could use these super jumps or momentum jumps or whatever it is that you want to end up calling them. In other places here it saves about 20 seconds. Boom, we get up there and you get a huge amount of jumps as Megatron. I swear Megatron has the highest jump. Don't know why. Don't know whether it's tied to weight or, as I said, I think it's probably tied to some form of momentum. Or here as well, where I didn't have any. I was showing off here, but I was like, if you run out of boost up here, instead of waiting for the boost, you can use that. And of course we have Jazz as well. I'm going to call this one the reverse motion jump. So instead of going forwards when you're doing it, you go backwards, and that actually allows you to do a sort of backwards thing. And it's actually easier to not boost with Jazz to do the momentum jump or the super jump or whatever it is. If you don't boost with Jazz or any of the smaller guys, actually it's way easier. And of course these skips can be used in all sorts of different places, like here for Optimus, or I don't really do a very good job here, but here after using Teletran 1, it's all these little super jumps and momentum jumps and things like that can be really cool. I don't really know what momentum storage or super jump storage is about right now. Not exactly sure how it works, but there we go. Obviously, after a bit of practice, I've got quite reliable at doing these, and I can kind of do them anywhere with nearly any body. I'm quite interested in finding out how it works with Starscream, or if it works at all. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work when he hits the ground. Maybe you go flying into space, I don't know. But here's a cool one. I actually store a momentum jump through a cutscene. So I come into here, boom, and as you'll see, I speak to Warpath, very, very boring Warpath, and then you'll see that I actually go over to the side and actually stored one through a cutscene, which is kind of cool. So this can be used in multiple places. Basically, anywhere where it says you can't transform here, this storage can be used, and I just hope somebody finds a use for it. Obviously, this is quite a neat little find, I think. And look, here we go, is Optimus walking along, la 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 la, boom! There we go, all stored. How cool is that? There are, of course, loads of applications that this can be used for. The super jump, or whatever kind of jump you're looking at doing. Here, for example, I was waiting for the Metroplex barrage to reload because there was still one enemy left, and I didn't realise it before I left. And then I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have to go back. Nope, the other guys finished him off, and lo and behold, I didn't actually lose that much time. Great news, because once I'd marked Metroplex, I'd already basically travelled the whole length of where I needed to go and all that sort of stuff. But that was Bredin. That was Bredin who sort of found that. So cool for him. I put the controls on screen so you guys can see it. But yeah, the super jump or momentum jump or whatever doesn't require the jump button at the end. It just requires a transformation. So I guess the properly correct term would be the momentum transformation jump, or MTJ, because that's kind of what it is. And then you have a stored MTJ or SMTJ, and then you can go on from there. But name it whatever you want. I'm not in the naming game.